What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to basketball. And more importantly, welcome back to the GM survey for the 2025-2026 NBA regular season. I love the GM survey. I think it's such a cool thing. Just kind of getting the perspective of different people around the league. It starts a bunch of interesting questions. And, whenever you rank anything in the sports world, everybody's going to have their takes on it. So I figured we could go through it today. As always, I haven't looked through these at all, and I think it should be a fun time. By the way, again, just like last year, we're going to be doing our own GM survey. I'm surveying people on the Discord, on the channel, the exact same questions that are being asked here, and then I'm going to review the dum-dums in my comment section answers, pretty much. So we'll see what you guys think of the league, just like how the GMs look at it. So I'm sure that that'll be interesting. But before we get into all of it, make sure that you guys like, subscribe, and comment. I've responded to every single comment to my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend to keep on doing so. I believe the day that this is posted will be the first day of the NBA regular season. It's tip-off. It's exciting. Let's get ready for it. I can't wait, man. Another season on the channel. But anyway, let's go through the survey. Alrighty, I'm excited for this. So if I remember correctly, the way that this works is basically all the GMs are asked all these questions, right? I presume it's like the actual GMs for the team, and not like any of their assistants or anything, but I don't know. But they're not allowed to answer anything regarding their own team, right? So there's never going to be like a 100% everybody picks Jokic to win MVP or something like that, or Wemby to win Defensive Player of the Year, because like the Spurs can't vote for Wemby, or the Nuggets can't vote for Jokic. So that's the little bit of statistical context that we're giving. All right, predictions. Which team will win the 2026 NBA Finals? 80% of people saying the Oklahoma City Thunder. That feels fair. 7% of people saying Cleveland. That feels kind of like the best option from the East right now. Their roster's pretty stacked. And they're actually tied though with the Denver Nuggets. Yeah, a lot of people are kind of like, man, the Nuggets were like almost better than OKC last year, and they had zero bench. Like they had nothing reliable that they could go to off the bench outside of like a little bit of solid defense from Peyton Watson and like Russell Westbrook every third game. Shout out Westbrook for getting signed by the Kings or whatever. We covered that yesterday. Actually, glad he's on a team. But no, this feels appropriate. These kind of feel like the top teams now that Denver kind of has a bench. Cleveland's got a pretty loaded roster, right? It should be interesting. Also receiving votes, the Rockets and the Knicks. I mean, those are other teams that you could relatively see. I could see a lot of teams in the West making it, honestly, and the Knicks probably second best team in the East, so I could see it. They got Orlando third, then Atlanta, Detroit. Milwaukee looks like they're kind of going via ranked choice voting, which is probably the way most people should vote for things in general, but is what it is. Western Conference rankings, yep, Houston, Minnesota, Golden State, Clippers. Clippers this low. They just must not believe that that team's going to be able to stay healthy or stay legally on the court. So, because I find that one interesting. All right, players. Who will win the 2025-2026 Kia MVP? Oh, I was scrolling too low for a second. Can I zoom in just a little bit so we can get this on the screen a little bit better? All right, here we go. Who's going to win MVP? 67% of people say Jokic. Doesn't it feel like okay, Shea's awesome, right? Embiid was awesome. Like, he was a very good player. I just feel like Jokic should have won it like every year for like the past 5 years. I think the dude's incredible. 10% of people saying Luka. He'll have a good case considering like LeBron's going to be out for like the first like month or so of the season. If the Lakers like start off pretty hot without LeBron, that'll be a kind of a good start to like his MVP campaign, right? I mean, Luka looks good. Looks like he's in shape. They got Shea there, Wembanyama. Those are probably some of the top people. I think Giannis could have a really easy road to it. But I think he could have a road there if the Bucks are like solid even and they're like in the playoff conversation, just because the rest of the roster is kind of booty cheeks, right? So I could see Giannis falling into it. Other votes are Giannis, Anthony Edwards, sure. I could see it. Donovan Mitchell, yep. That seems fair. Last year, most people figured it was going to be Shea, and most people were right. So there you go. All right, next one. If you were starting a franchise today and you could sign any player, who would it be? Wemby is the obvious answer. Shea and Jokic are the only other two that you probably consider. Jokic being around like 30 years old now is the only reason why he's a little bit lower. Shea's in his prime right now, and he's already won a Finals MVP and an MVP, so I get it. And Wemby just being so young and as good as he is already, it's no surprise that that's where he's being picked. I'm guessing because there's what, 30 NBA teams, so what, one person would make up 3%, so this is right here. Is this just the Spurs right here? That could probably be what it is, right? The Spurs just picked Jokic. Funny, 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 funny. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I like it. Which player forces opposing coaches to make the most adjustments? That's super interesting. Jokic is kind of an interesting one, actually, because I wouldn't have guessed Jokic. Because here's the thing, like, do you really need to double Jokic, right? Like, and maybe this is like coach thinking more so in me. I'm more of a coach than I am like a general manager. At least that's the closer position that I've actually held. I don't feel like I would need to game plan a ton more for a Jokic as much as I'd just be like, okay, we have to be extremely fundamentally set playing against him, because if we do anything wrong, he will take advantage of it. Whereas like Giannis is such a unique physical force that it's like, okay, we do need to figure out like how we're going to stop him, because if he gets around the rim, it's a huge problem, right? Curry, you kind of have to change your coverages, and you have to really communicate like how you're gonna be kind of following him around the court. I could see that. Luka, yeah, that one for sure. Shea for sure. Honestly, like I would put Jokic lower on, and that's not nothing against Jokic. I'm just saying I think I have to do more specific game planning for some of the people down here. Last year they said Luka, and then he ended up getting traded anyway. So wow, kind of crazy. Which player is most likely to have a breakout season? Oh, I love this question. We love breakout stars, right? We love breakout stars. Oh wow, there's a lot of people getting votes here. I'm trying not to reveal anything too much, but Amen Thompson being the number one guy, that feels pretty obvious. His skill set's pretty awesome. Then we got Brandon Miller. That's kind of an interesting one, I guess. Breakout season is kind of relative, right? Like, what does that actually mean? Because like Victor Wembanyama, like already like all-star good, right? Like Franz Wagner, how much more it, or like how much better does he really get? I've been telling people on the channel before, I'm like, it's a lot harder to go from like 18 points per game to 21 points per game than it is to go from like 5 to like 15. And that's just because there's kind of this like exponential curve, kind of like wealth disparity and stuff like that, right? Like it just kind of gets exponentially harder and harder and harder. So I could see like a Franz Wagner in that sense. People got a Sar Thompson on there as well. I could totally see that because I think he has a pretty similar skill set to Amen. I've always said I think Amen is probably a little bit more talented in terms of like his ball handling skills and passing ability, but otherwise they're pretty similar people. Well, they're twins, so there you go. But Brandon Miller being number 2 is interesting to me. I'm not saying that it couldn't be him, because I like Brandon Miller a lot as a prospect. It's just I wouldn't have expected to see him there. Like Denny feels like one to put on there. Stephon Castle, maybe, I don't know. Jalen Green, I don't know. Jalen Johnson, I don't know. Tyrese Maxey's already pretty damn good. Alex Sarr, maybe Alperen Şengün, Reed Shepherd, Jabari Smith, a lot of the Rockets young guys. Zion Williamson's already really good. Jalen Williams was the number 1 guy last year, though it looks like there was a much bigger disparity last year as well. People seem pretty locked in that Amen's going to be that dude, and I tend to agree. He looks pretty awesome. Who's the best point guard in the NBA? How do you define a point guard is always the question, right? Because coaches nowadays, like, do we use the term like point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center? Sure, like we're not like opposed to it, but like when we're talking strategically, we don't really talk about positions like that anymore. It's more so guard, wing, forward, big. Like that's kind of how we look at things more so. But you know, whatever you want to call it. Shea being number 1, yeah, that feels about right. Luka being number 2. That feels about right. Steph Curry, and then Tyrese Halliburton, number 4. I mean, after last year, I guess we got to start to give him credit, right? He was too underrated last year. We're giving him credit now. Is there anybody I would put over him? I'm just trying to think through like all the point guards and everything. Am I missing anyone? I can't think off the top of my head all the NBA point guards out there, but I feel like maybe there's someone better than a Tyrese Halliburton. Like, and this is for this year, right? Like, because would you maybe say like a Dame Lillard or something like that? Maybe, I don't know. I'm spending too much time on this. It doesn't matter. Luka was number 1 last year, so fair enough. Who's the best shooting guard in the NBA? Yeah, it feels like Anthony Edwards kind of locked that shit up last year, and maybe that's because Devin Booker had like a lower year than before, just because the Suns were kind of a fucking mess last season. So Anthony Edwards, number 1. That feels very fair. Donovan Mitchell, number 2. Sure. Then they have Luka and Shea, so people were kind of voting for them. Steph Curry, people voted for them as well. So like I'd throw like Devin Booker into this conversation. I feel like they should have like categorized these players for them. But whatever, interesting enough, Anthony Edwards was barely the number one last year, and now he's clearly the number one, which that feels about right after the shooting performance he put on last year. Who's the best small forward? Luka Doncic again. Okay, again, we should really define these for people. Jason Tatum. Okay, so we are grading injured people. Oh yeah, we already did with Halliburton. Kevin Durant. I still might take Durant over Tatum. I still might. It's a lot closer than it used to be. Night to night basis, it's hard. LeBron's still on there. Kawhi's still on there. Yep, that feels right. Other people, they got Jaylen Brown, Jimmy Butler, J-Dub. Okay, yeah, those are fair selections. Are we missing anybody else? I don't necessarily think so, but Luka being number one is a little bit trippy to me. I just don't think of him as like a forward necessarily. Not that he can't play it, but it's, I don't know. I just wish they would have categorized this a little bit better. And then power forward, Giannis and Evan Mobley. Those are the two people that people said. Yeah, I guess that's fair. Giannis was a smaller percentage of it last year. I wonder who else fell into that category than last year. Like, did they throw like a KD into it or something like that? I don't know, or a LeBron. But Giannis, yeah, obviously, and then our DPOY, Evan Mobley, he's awesome, man. It's great to see all the growth that he's kind of been having. Hard to disagree with that. Who's the best center? Jokic and Victor Wembanyama. No Embiid votes anymore. Yeah, I think the injuries have kind of skewed people a little bit on that, and like, let's just be real, right? So this is this 3% right here just is the Nuggets, right? That's the Nuggets saying, okay, I guess we'll give it to Wemby, but most people know Jokic kind of the best player. So there you go. Highest percentage of total votes on position questions. Oh, so this is a good summary of it just in general. So Jokic, Giannis, Shea, Anthony Edwards, Luka. Okay, fair enough, because this kind of stems like between the positions or whatever. That's, I guess, fair. Cool. Interesting. Alrighty, off-season moves. Which team made the best moves this off-season? I love this. We covered the off-season really extensively on the channel. By the way, go watch like the season preview stuff here. I've got videos for all of your favorite teams here, including the Hawks, where we talk about their off-season. I agree. I think the Hawks had the best off-season. Credit to their front office for taking advantage of all the teams in really shitty situations around the NBA, whether that's Porzingis, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, the Pelicans just hiring dum-dums. Like, I'd say that's all fair game. The Rockets getting KD, yeah, they really didn't have to give up that much to get him either. It was awesome. The Nuggets getting a bench, awesome. I did like the Orlando Magic moves. I felt like it was a little bit incomplete, but is what it is. And some people giving Boston credit. I wonder if this is like an OKC Thunder like front office for being like, you guys really understood the cap and like how it works. Good for you for being so scientific with everything. Because like, yeah, credit to the Celtics, man. They have to do what they have to do, like money-wise and financially. And so, yes, they had to sell all their players, but mathematically, they've been doing everything correct. So I'll be curious to see kind of what it looks like. Oklahoma City got it last year, probably because they brought in Hartenstein, and they ended up winning the finals. So good for them. But yeah, shout out Atlanta. I would agree they had the best offseason. Which one player acquisition will make the biggest impact? Kevin Durant, yeah. If you acquire Kevin Durant, in theory, that helps your team out quite a bit. Sorry, Phoenix Suns. I still maintain that Suns team, like, and I think the GM did a pretty decent job of building the roster. I just think they picked the wrong coaches, and I don't know, like injuries held them back. So I don't know. Desmond Bane to Orlando. Yeah, I think that'll be a big one as well. Also receiving votes, Cooper Flagg. I mean, sure, yeah, he'll probably make an impact. I think Cooper Flagg's going to be really elite defensively right away. That's kind of what I've been saying in most of my like draft coverage stuff. I'm like, he's going to like surprise everyone with how awesome he is defensively. Like, his instincts are insane. The way he reads the game is awesome, combined with his athleticism. And I think the offense will slowly kind of start to come around. Drew Holiday. Yeah, I guess just being a stable presence on a team that hasn't had one. Sure, Miles Turner in Milwaukee. I don't know if we'll be able to see it, but it's better than if they didn't have him, right? Last year was Paul George. Yeah, he was the big addition. Obviously, he got hurt. But Kevin Durant, I agree with. It's interesting. I'm not really disagreeing with like too much of this right now. Okay, here's some big ones right here. Who is the most underrated player acquisition? Most people saying, well, honestly, not even most people. It's pretty close. Desmond Bane, sure. The Cam Johnson one is kind of underrated. It feels like them trading Michael Porter Jr. sucks, right? Because Michael Porter Jr. was a good player for them. But They got back a really similar player in Cam Johnson for a lot cheaper, and that allowed them to get their big bench. So all the context behind that is important. Porzingis, I'm so curious to see in Atlanta, just because they haven't had a big like that before. Lonzo Ball, tied for fourth. Yeah, if he's healthy, sure. John Collins, yeah, I love that one. I think the John Collins shout, like swapping him for Norm Powell, I think is awesome. Dorian Finney-Smith, sure. Drew Holiday, Luke Cornett for the Spurs. I could see that. Them just having like a couple competent bigs outside of Wemby could help them a lot. DeAndre Ayton, this one could prove to be true. Obviously, it's just been preseason for me so far, is all I've seen. I'm so curious to see him play with Luka. So curious. Bradley Beal, sure. Jalen Green, Al Horford. That I'm very curious about that one. Kevon Looney, Brooke Lopez, Norman Powell. Norman Powell probably will be a pretty big one for the Miami Heat. Marcus Smart, we'll see. Last year was Alex Caruso, and that ended up being kind of correct. So shout out NBA GMs again. Which team will be the most improved in 2025-2026? The Orlando Magic. What seed were they last year? Were they like a 7th seed or something like 6th seed? What were they? I don't remember, because they weren't a play-in team, were they? So I could see the Magic being like a top 4 seeded team this year. They've got a pretty good one. Brought in some good players, so yep, I could see that. The Atlanta Hawks getting out of the play-in, I could see them ending up in the top 4 somehow. I could see them falling just below that as well, but we like that. The Spurs, it's so tough in the West, man. Like, because yes, the Spurs are probably improved, but they're still so young, and the West is so talented. The Sixers, yeah, I mean, if the Sixers stay healthy, they should be a top seeded team in the East, but will they stay healthy? Will they even get healthy? We don't know. The Pelicans, same thing. Last year was the Grizzlies. That was incorrect. Grizzlies, not the best season last year. What was the most surprising move of the offseason? All right. Let's talk about this. Milwaukee waiving and stretching Damian Lillard. Yeah, I agree with that one. That one was pretty crazy to me. And then the follow-up to that, Miles Turner to Milwaukee. Let's cover both of these. Yeah, them stretching Damian Lillard, like, again, respect to the Bucks for doing it, because they're trying everything they can to win more basketball games, like in the given moment, which is great. I think you've kind of secured your fate that you're not going to be able to put like a championship level roster around Giannis in the coming years. I hope Giannis sticks around or whatever, but obviously he's got to do what he's got to do. Miles Turner to Milwaukee. Yeah, the Pacers just not really caring to bring him back was so just fucking stupid in my mind. So yep, that one was weird. The Atlanta New Orleans draft trade. Yep, that one was that was surprising. That was very surprising. What 2 teams voted for like the Celtics breaking up their core? Would somebody investigate those 2 GMs, because they don't understand how the salary cap works? Everybody knew that was going to happen the whole season. Which 2? That's definitely like the Bulls and the Kings, isn't it? That's the Bulls and the Kings, or like maybe New Orleans. I could see that as well. Also receiving votes. DeAndre Ayton signing with the Lakers. Was that surprising? Like, I don't know. Michael Porter Jr. trade to Brooklyn. Maybe Dennis Schroeder to Sacramento. That low-key is kind of a surprising one. Not if you know Dennis Schroeder well, but it's kind of just like, what are the Kings doing more so? But then you probably should tell yourself, well, that's the Kings. Maybe that's the Kings who answered that one. They're like, we didn't know we were going to sign Dennis Schroeder. And then Yang Hansen drafted number 16. That one is definitely up there as well. I can tell you most front offices were like, interesting. By the way, I don't want to see any more comments of people being like, oh, AVC, did you see how this guy was playing in the preseason? AVC, what do you think? Has your opinion changed? Are you fucking stupid? Like, what's wrong with you people? Like, do you guys really change your opinions after like 2 basketball games of people? No, like, these are still the same prospects that I evaluated like some months ago. Like, let's just wait. Let's give it 20 NBA games before we make any fucking opinions. Last year, the Karl Anthony Towns trade was crazy. Did not see that one coming. So that one's still a bit bigger than these other ones. But the Lillard one, yeah, that one was crazy. Rookies and international players. Who will win the 2025-26 Rookie of the Year? Most people saying Cooper Flagg. That feels about right. And then number 2, VJ Edgecombe. So basically just Dallas had to give a different answer, and they said VJ. Would I say VJ is the next most likely guy? I love VJ Edgecombe. You guys know I was on it at the beginning of last year. I'm like, this kid's good. I got to watch him earlier than I would watch most prospects because he was playing international basketball, and I was helping out with some stuff there. And I was like, this kid's going to be in the draft next year. I'm like, he's ready to go to the league now. I'm like, this kid's tough. So we love VJ. I think he's going to be a very good player. I think defensively he's going to make a huge impact right away. And I think offensively, like, Like, I think the jumper's there, man. I think he makes pretty decent reads for the most part. Like, as soon as we add some craftiness to, like, the ISO games, we can start to create for himself a little bit more. Like, oh man, we're gonna be there. Most people thought, or last year, a lot of people thought Reed Shepard, and I told y'all that was crazy, and it was. So, there you go. Which rookie will be the best player in 5 years? Cooper Flagg? Probably a fair assessment. Also receiving votes, VJ Edgecombe, Dylan Harper. Yeah, sure. I mean, as I told you throughout this draft process, I think Flagg, Edgecombe, Harper, and Bailey are all like all NBA level prospects, which I do not say very lightly. I think they're all like that good, and I'm pretty critical of people. So if any of those four become the best out of them, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised. Last year, we said Reed Shepard. Obviously, we don't know for sure. Oh, and 5 years ago, I love this. People said James Wiseman. Yeesh. Yeesh, yeesh, yeesh. Yeah, that's an interesting situation. Which rookie will be the biggest steal? I love this. Oh, and good selections. And this one's always going to be divisive. Like, a lot of people are going to have different opinions on this, but I'm trying to get everything up on here. But Yakachonis is the obvious number one answer here. The fact that he fell that far, you guys know I had him number 5 on my board, and I will tell you, I've talked to a lot of like teams at this point and people like in scouts and stuff. Most people were of my belief as well, that they were like, hey, if he doesn't go like number 5 or 6, he's probably stumbling to like 19 or 20 just because of how the draft is set up more so. It was like if he fell past 8 somehow with Brooklyn, which weird that happened. But regardless, it is what it is. Yakachonis falling to the Miami Heat. It feels like a steal. It feels like they are going to turn him into like a really good point guard for years to come. Ace Bailey, yep, you kind of got him on a deal, so I could see that. Carter Bryant, I know a lot of us think very highly of him, me included. Excited to see him play. Jean Beringer, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I see like starter level potential in him, but that's just me. Liam McNeely. If all he does is catch and shoot, sure. I'm just not sure he'll be as good as some of these other guys. Asa Newell. I'm a big fan of his. I like his game a lot. Ton of other people getting votes here. Shout out Walter Clayton. I would agree with that. Neat Clifford definitely went too low in my mind. Rasheer Fleming, I think, went too low. Trying to see who else I think went too low here. I think Danny Wolf went too low. So interesting. Last year was Bub Carrington. I don't know if we would say that was the case last year. I don't know who we would actually give it to. Probably Terrence Shannon out of all of them, who, your boy was a big proponent of him, but, is what it is. Best international player in the NBA. Most people said Jokic, and then we've got singular votes for Luka and Shea. Yep, I don't need to cover that one too much. That makes a lot of sense to me. Who's the best international player not in the NBA? I love this. I love stuff like this. I think it's important to remember, just because you're in the NBA doesn't mean you're one of the best players in the world. There's plenty of good players that are playing for other teams that you just don't get to see very often, and they play there for different reasons, whether it's money, they just like the country that they're living in, or whatever. And there's just guys like Victor Oladipo, who probably should be on an NBA roster right now, but teams don't want to give him the time of day for whatever fucking reason. We know the reasons are more business related and stuff, but come on, man, somebody sign my man Oladipo. Sasha Venzikov, he's typically the guy that gets most of the votes. He was most recently with the Kings, right? And yeah, he shot the shit out of it. That's about it. Isak Bonga, we like him. Chetty Osman, shout out him. Nikola Mirotic, man, he was something for a little bit. Kendrick Nunn, okay, and then Eddie Tavares. No Victor Oladipo. Huh? Also receiving votes, Evan Fournier, Trey Lyles just went over there. I'm surprised no like Talon Horton Tucker or something like that, right? Misic, Theo Maildon, Murin. Okay, yeah, this is the Finnish guy, right? That played with Markkanen this offseason. He looks tough, man, just from watching the Olympics. And no, it's not just watching the dunks and all of that stuff, right? Like, no, he's got some good instincts to his game, and I like his energy for a young guy. I can't wait to do a more proper evaluation of him at some point. Defense. Who is the best defensive player in the NBA? Shocked that Wembanyama isn't higher, honestly. And come on, Victor Wembanyama just literally prevents people from being in the paint. You just can't go there. I've never seen it before. You've seen people be hesitant to drive towards the rim because a Rudy Gobert is down there. Teams will literally just not even attempt it with Wemby down there. It's insane to me. Or they'll try that thing where they get into the post and they'll kind of pump fake and try to pivot around and get around a bit big like that, you just literally can't with Wemby. You literally can't. He is a complete shutdown player. So he should be number one. Gobert and Mobley, yep, those are the next two that I would think of. Giannis probably after that. That's fair. Shout out Lou Dort. Wemby has doubled his votes since last year. Again, surprised it's not all but like the Spurs that think that, but fair enough. Like I like Evan Mobley, and Rudy Gobert is a great defensive player as well. But no, it's Wemby. It is Wemby for sure. Who's the best perimeter defender in the NBA? Dyson Daniels? Yeah, that feels like it. I'm just trying to think through in my head before I even read the rest of them. Who else kind of falls into that category? I think about like the Carusos, the Dorts, Amen Thompson I probably throw in there. So who do we got? Caruso, sure, there's Amen Thompson. Amen Thompson I might give the edge to in my mind, just because physically he can do so much more than everybody else, right? And he's got some pretty gnarly instincts. Like, here's the thing. You're going to see Amen Thompson make defensive plays that literally nobody else can, just because he's so much more athletic than them. So I give him credit there. And like, look, he has to have the smarts with it. I had we'll call it an experience in college against Zion is the best way to put it. And I remember watching the film like before the game and being like, this guy's like, honestly, like he didn't have great like defensive instincts. He was really easy to get off his feet. But then I'd watch the film more. I'm like, ah, shit, but he recovers so well because he's so damn athletic, right? So it kind of doesn't matter that he makes a ton of defensive mistakes. Like Amen Thompson like has like the brain of like an elite defender and the crazy athleticism, so I might give it to him. But like Dyson Daniels, like just watch him go around screens and like I can understand why you want to put him number one. That's fair. Shout out Lou Dort, shout out Drew Holiday, and then Asar Thompson as well. Yep, those are probably the guys I'd put in it. Drew Holiday number one. Fair from last year. Okay, who's the best interior defender? Again, how is it not just Wemby? It has to be. Like Rudy Gobert is like an all-time defensive great. Don't get me wrong, and he's still phenomenal. It's Wemby. It is Wemby without a fucking question. I will try Rudy Gobert. I will not try Victor Wembanyama. I will not. It's not going to happen. The coordination and the size is too much. Also receiving votes, Anthony Davis, Evan Mobley. Interesting that AD got votes here, but not like in the DPOY thing. That's interesting. I guess because Mobley, they're saying is just a better all-around defender, but then like why is Gobert there? Sometimes Gobert's an okay perimeter defender. Sometimes he's had some good possessions and moments. Relax. Ivica Zubac, shout out that person, whoever said that. Like I kind of fuck with that. Who's the most versatile defender? Yep, it's Amen Thompson. That is the simple answer. I mean, Wemby should probably be number 3 or something. I think I'd put Giannis. Draymond is definitely up there, but I'm going to go Amen Thompson, Giannis, Wemby, and then we get into like the Mobley, Dyson Daniels. Shout out OG Anunoby making the list. I respect that. Tamani Kamara is a decent one to have on there. Asar Thompson, yep. Those are all fair. Shout out Lou Dort. Shout out him. Amen Thompson should be the clearest answer here. And then I truly do think like Giannis and like Wemby are kind of the next ones after that. So I'm down with it. All right. Who's the best defensive team? Yeah, it's the Thunder. It is without a doubt the Thunder. It's just all hands team. Everybody's getting hands on basketball on that team. And then we got Minnesota. Yep, they got a lot of good defensive players, and they got Rudy Gobert down there. The Magic, just a lot of good defensive principles on that team. And then we got the Houston Rockets. So one team voted for them. Fair. I mean, I can kind of see it. Losing Dylan Brooks, that sucks, right? But you also got rid of Jalen Green, so maybe that might help you defensively a little bit more. Having to play like guys like Reed Shepherd a little bit more. Yes, I know he gets some steals and stuff like that, but he's going to be taken advantage of because of his size again. So I don't know. I'm not sure I'd put the Rockets up there in this moment, but Oklahoma, Minnesota, Orlando, you could probably convince me Orlando number 2, and then I know they're tied right now, but you could probably convince me Orlando number 2 and then Minnesota. That's probably what I'd say. Celtics number 1 last year. Really, I feel like a lot of us kind of knew that the Thunder were going to be that good defensively, but maybe that's just us. Coaches. Ooh, okay. Who is the best head coach in the NBA? Eric Spoelstra. I tend to agree with that still. I think he's by far and away the best coach. Shout out him getting the Team USA gig. I think that's awesome. Mark Daigneault. Yep, obviously. He doesn't do anything too complicated with his team, but he gets something out of every player. So I don't know if that's just like him and the training staff or whatever, but their scouting department and their development staff are all elite. Tyronn Lue with the Clippers. I think Coach Lue Lou's a very good coach. I'd say that for sure. Next, we have Rick Carlisle and Nick Nurse. I feel like Nick Nurse hasn't been quite as what's the term I'm looking for? I feel like he kind of lost some of his creativity that he came in with. Carlisle, I definitely give him credit for, again, his system is really simple in Indiana, at least on the offensive end, it takes a certain coach to recognize, like, hey, this is the style we have to play to have a chance, and that's what he did, so shout out to them. But yeah, Spoelstra feels like the very obvious number one option there, so shout out Coach Spo. Which head coach is the best manager, motivator of people? Interesting. So I can't have too much of an opinion on this one because I've only spent so much time with like certain coaches, right? And I feel like you get to know this stuff by actually being in the practices. Spoelstra seems like an obvious one, right? Ime Udoka I could see for sure. Steve Kerr, I don't know if we can say that when he's had like 2 or 3 guys request trades on him recently. Joe Mazzulla, yep. He's pretty awesome. Coach Lou, I know people love that dude. Coach Kenny is one of my favorites, man. I've had the pleasure of doing some work around him before. I think he's amazing. JB Bickerstaff, awesome. Rick Carlisle, sure. Jamal Mosley, yep, I know people love him. So cool. Yeah, no, I see it. Steve Kerr's the one that I'm a bit like, interesting. Motivator of people. Guys don't really want to play for him right now. Which head coach makes the best in-game adjustments? I think it's Spo. And then I think it's JJ Redick, honestly. I think it's those two. I'm surprised JJ Redick's not on this list because he's kind of like the X's and O's guys, and so is Spoelstra. Tyronn Lue's good as well. Like, I give him credit for it, but I don't know. Daigneault, again, they just didn't change their game plan at all, and they didn't need to. It's just, to me, like, night in and night out, it was very repetitive. Like, they did what they did, and they did it well, so good for them. Same with Carlisle, so I'm not sure I would put them there exactly. Coach Kenny, I think it's pretty solid. I think it's solid. It's definitely not Chris Finch. No, it is not. They didn't even run an offense last year. It's not Chris Finch. Ime Udoka, not really. But he only had so much he could work with, too. I think it's got to be Redick and Spoelstra in that one. So that's the first one where I kind of adamantly disagree a little bit more. Who runs the best offense? Rick Carlisle. So let's define offense, right? Like, are we talking just output, or are we talking, like, interesting complexity, right? We should probably just judge it based off results. Again, Rick Carlisle said, the only way this team's going to win enough basketball games is if we become like this gimmick team. We're going to do this gimmick really, really well. It could bite us in the butt, but it can also win us a ton of games. He did that. There you go. I wouldn't say Coach Atkinson had like anything too crazy. There is no way it's Chris Finch. How can you say that? Who watched Minnesota Timberwolves basketball last year and thought this is a good offense? They're just standing there. They are just fucking standing there the whole time. Anthony Edwards has to work harder than anyone else to go get buckets in the NBA. It's insane. Daigneault, again, it's kind of the same thing as like the Pacers. Steve Kerr, yes, it's a very complex system that they run, so I get that. Mike Brown, yeah, he runs some pretty cool stuff. So does Lou. Quinn Snyder, I've been a little bit disappointed with what he's come up with. So, is what it is. Spoelstra should probably have more votes than what he has. Which head coach has the best defensive schemes? Daigneault, sure. It's nothing complicated. It's just really intense, like, what's the term I'm looking for? Like fundamentals that they instill more. So they're not doing anything too crazy. Like, this should be JJ Redick, honestly. Like, JJ Redick installed like some crazy defensive schemes last year that relied on having like extremely smart help defenders at all times in the right places so they could gamble a little bit more, like outside in the perimeter. And guys like LeBron and Rui were so awesome at it last year. And they didn't even have any good defensive players, really, and they were making it work. So want to give credit to JJ. Ime Udoka, yep, I liked his system a lot. Spoelstra, yeah, I tend to like his stuff. Mazzulla, he's more so just like, if we just go out there and work hard enough, we'll do it, which, that, honestly, defense is 50% effort. It really is. Maybe even 75% effort sometimes. The scheme is just kind of that other piece. Chris Finch, yep, really good defensive scheme there, so I want to give him credit to that stuff. They do a good job of funneling people towards Rudy. Who is the best assistant coach in the NBA? Mike Conori? I've heard otherwise. Jeff Van Gundy, I've heard otherwise. Royal Ivy, I've heard he's really good. Sam Cassell, I've heard is awesome. Chris Quinn, I've heard is awesome. James Borrego, yep, cool dude. Trying to see Darvin Ham. Curious what people have to say about that. Juwan Howard, I know he's really smart. Trying to see who else. Jerry Stackhouse is really good for player development. I've seen Wes Unseld Jr. Yep, I've heard good things there. Not the best like head coach at times, but is what it is. Okay, interesting. I feel like people just picked Micah Nori because they saw him have to step in and be head coach for a little bit with the Finch injury, but whatever. Which active player will be the best head coach someday? Chris Paul? I don't know if Chris Paul could be like a head coach. I feel like maybe like I haven't spent like time with Chris Paul ever, so it's kind of hard to say, but I feel like there's some people that are like huge scheme guys, and like how do you kind of keep a team motivated or whatever is kind of a different thing. Mike Conley, I could see. TJ McConnell, I feel like that's just because he's little and white. They gave him that one. Fred VanVleet, interesting. Garrett Temple, I have heard a lot of people say Garrett Temple will be a head coach one day. Like I've had a lot of players tell me that, so I could see it. Drew Holiday, Kyle Anderson is interesting. Luke Cornett, I need a 7-foot head coach. I'm so here for that. Last year, Chris Paul again. So yeah, give me Garrett Temple as my number one guy, just because I've heard a lot of other people say it. Miscellaneous, which team is the most fun to watch? The Denver Nuggets, that's hard to disagree with. It's certainly not my Chicago Bulls. Just watching Jokic is awesome. I could throw the Spurs in there for the same reasons because of Wemby. Like the Thunder, honestly, it's kind of repetitive with the Thunder. And again, credit to them. They know what wins basketball games and they keep doing it. And Shea's awesome. I love J-Dub. It's fun to watch the young guys and stuff. I don't find them like that interesting compared to other teams. Like I had a lot of fun watching like the Pistons last year. Like yes, they made a lot of mistakes, but it was just kind of cool to see them start to figure things out. So that's just kind of the stuff that I like more so. I'm trying to think who else kind of falls into that category of like teams I really liked watching last year. Like I didn't really watch like a lot of like Boston or like New York or teams like that. It's definitely not like Charlotte or Sacramento, Chicago. It definitely wasn't Minnesota, and I went to a lot of Timberwolves games last year. I'm trying to think who else would kind of fall into this. Like, yeah, the Warriors are always fun to watch. Like, I like their scheme and stuff like that. The Pacers played fast, so, like, I can understand that. Okay, the Pistons did get some votes. That's cool. The Rockets, yeah, I just liked watching Amen Thompson. The Lakers were kind of fun to watch, just to see all the different schemes they were running all the time. I didn't have a ton of fun with Orlando just because the offense was so ugh. But, hopefully that's better this last year. Now do we have best home court advantage. The Nuggets? How is it not the Thunder? It's gotta be the Thunder, right? And then like Sacramento, if they're winning basketball games, maybe throw New York into there as well. Cleveland? By the way, I was in Cleveland like not that long ago. Y'all have cleaned up that city very well. I hadn't been there in like a couple years. Like Cleveland, I'm kind of fucking with it. Boston, like, yeah, I could see it. Like, low-key, if the Bulls are good, I'd throw Chicago in there. Chicago is an amazing sports town, but they're cursed with really old owners that don't spend any money whatsoever. I'm surprised to see Denver up this high, man. How can people yell that long at that elevation? I'd give it to the Thunder pretty clearly, though, in my mind. And again, it doesn't fucking matter all that much. I hope it's clear. Like, none of this shit matters. Like, right? If you get super offended and put a comment somewhere like, I can't believe, that De'Aaron Fox is number 2 on your point guard list instead of, number 8. I can't fucking believe you. Go do something else with your life, Billy. I can't fucking stand you. But anyway, yeah, none of this shit matters. It's just people's opinions and rankings. I don't know why, like, as humans, we feel the need to rank stuff so much nowadays. Do we all just have some sort of weird autism that we're experiencing collectively? Is the Tylenol gotten to us? We're getting political today, AVC. Which team will have the league's most efficient offense this season? Cleveland? Interesting. Like, yes, they have a lot of players that are very efficient, so I could see that, right? Just think about Jared Allen is one of the best at the rim. Evan Mobley was efficient all around last year, so was Mitchell and Garland. They have the ball most of the time, so I guess that makes sense. Oklahoma City Thunder, yeah, they get so many layups and threes. The Nuggets, I don't know. Like, the Pacers, I could see them falling into it again. I think their center play is going to hurt them. The Timberwolves, who's saying this? Which team is, like, not watching the Minnesota Timberwolves at all? Like, I hope so. I'd love to see it, but this is insane. And the Knicks? they got too many guys that are like shot hunters and stuff, and that's kind of hard to maintain. But give me Oklahoma City. Who else could we kind of throw in there? Low key. Just hold on for a second. Let's say we hold Russell Westbrook to like 18 minutes a game or like something like that. The Kings do just have a lot of dudes that you just can't quite stop from getting buckets. Domantas Sabonis, very, very efficient all over the basketball court. Zach LaVine, one of the most unstoppable offensive players in the league. DeMar DeRozan will get his shot whenever. Dennis Schroeder, incredibly hard to stop. Some nights of Westbrook. So you just got a lot of dudes on the team. I don't know if it's going to be a pretty offense to watch, but you got a lot of dudes that can just go get you efficient buckets. So let me just throw that one in as a little sleeper. Which team's level of success this season is toughest to predict? Philadelphia, that is for sure the obvious one, just because of health and everything. New Orleans gets thrown in there as well, so a lot of people just receiving votes. The Celtics, I can understand that. The Milwaukee Bucks, sure. Grizzlies, yep, they're kind of a weird spot. The Lakers, maybe. I don't know, like... I don't think that one's that hard to see. The Clippers, just because, again, we don't know what's going to happen with Kawhi. The Houston Rockets, I don't know. The Warriors, Mavericks, it's kind of hard to tell, but Philadelphia is definitely kind of like the obvious one, right? Just because the guys aren't even playing now, right? And we just don't know what's going to happen with those guys. So I feel like that makes a lot of sense. Which team has the most promising young core? Damn you, Oklahoma City Thunder. They can't keep getting away with this. They've got all the draft picks. They're the reigning champions. They've got the best young core in the NBA. And I know Spurs fans like, we've got the best young core, AVC. We have Victor Wembanyama and we have Stephon Castle. He won Rookie of the Year, AVC. Wasn't a great rookie class. I like Stephon Castle. Calm down. I like him. I think he's cool. I don't think he's maybe as good as other rookies of the year. But AVC, we also have Dylan Harper and Carter Bryant. They haven't been on the floor yet. Dum. Shut up. But it's the Thunder. It's still the Thunder. Shout out the Pistons. Yep, I think that they deserve to be in that. The Houston Rockets, sure. Orlando Magic, sure. I could see it. Last year it was the Thunder as well. I think that that's fair. Considering J-Dub and Chet haven't even hit their competitive primes yet is kind of crazy. Kind of fucking crazy. But yeah, I guess we'll keep on moving. Which player is the most athletic? How is it not Amen Thompson? It's Amen Thompson. Amen Thompson might be the best athlete that's ever stepped foot in the NBA, and I'm not even joking with that. I don't think I'm the only person that would say that either. I've been joking since we covered the draft with them. I'm like, if you scale athletes on a 10-point scale, him and Asar are 11s. It is insane, the kinds of athletes there are. They're so smooth. They have perfect control over their bodies. It's insane. Anthony Edwards, incredible athlete, no doubt. Giannis, sure. LeBron, just for how good he is at his age, I'll give it to you. John Morant, sure. Shaden Sharp, yep, he jumps really high. Asar Thompson, you got to put him up there. Victor Wembanyama, I can understand it, but it's Amen Thompson. It is Amen Thompson, and it's not even a fucking question. Let's move on. Which player is the best pure shooter? Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. So fair enough. So the Warriors had to say someone else. They gave a shout out to their boy. Fair, very, very fair. If you have an argument for this one, I think I'll actually fight you. Send me your address, we'll fight. Which player is the fastest with the ball? As someone who has experienced this in real life, it's De'Aaron Fox. Look, the boy fucked your boy up at one point. This was, I can talk about this a little bit more because it was around high schoolish time. Played an AAU game there. Did not go well. Did not go well for your boy. I'm good in a straight line. Fuck De'Aaron Fox. Fucked me up. Anyway, John Morant. I think it's De'Aaron Fox pretty clearly. Tyrese Maxey, I could see it. Amen Thompson, if he gets going, but I don't know, with the ball, I think it's clearly De'Aaron Fox. So that's just me. Honestly, throw Russell Westbrook in there still. Which player is the best at moving without the ball? It is clearly Steph Curry. Who else got some votes? Desmond Bane. Yeah, Michael Porter Jr., we do give him a lot of credit. He doesn't do the whole thing where he's cutting baseline and everything and setting screens for other people, but he knows where all the shooting windows are. So we give him a ton of credit for that. Duncan Robinson, interesting. I guess I don't have a strong opinion on that, but it's Steph Curry. It is Steph Curry. Which player is the best passer? Jokic, Luka, Trey, James Harden. Yeah, no, Jokic probably number one. I might give it to Luka more so because he gets himself in more interesting passing situations than maybe Jokic does. But they're both elite. Like they're both elite. Trey Young, yep, he's obviously really good at what he does. So is James Harden. I have really no complaints about these whatsoever. Healthy Lonzo Ball, you might throw him into that conversation. Which player is the best leader? I can't speak to this. I think leadership can only really be learned or like experienced like with the team, but Steph Curry, fair enough. I mean, whatever Steph says goes, right? I'd have to assume LeBron kind of in there as well. Jalen Brunson, interesting. Jokic, cool. He lead by example maybe type of guy. Giannis for sure. Shea, Mike Conley, I love that one. Anthony Edwards. I will say, from everything I've heard, like they're like, yeah, motherfucker does work hard, and like people really do kind of like respect when he says like I'm gonna get better at something, and he does. So kind of interesting. Jason Tatum, but I thought he had no aura. I don't know. And Fred VanVleet, interesting. Interesting. How many more of these do we got? Who's the most versatile player in the NBA? Giannis. Giannis feels like the obvious answer. Maybe throw a Men Thompson into there. Victor Wembanyama. Yep, that's fair. LeBron, got to give him credit for it. Emob, sure. Jalen Williams, give him a lot of credit for his size, man, and what he's able to do. That's impressive. Cade Cunningham, Durant, Draymond Green, Jokic. I'm not sure I'd put Jokic in there necessarily. Kawhi Leonard, Jason Tatum. Yeah, those are all kind of reasonable ones, but Giannis and Wemby seem like the obvious kind of like tied for first answers. Which player is the best basketball IQ? I'm going to say LeBron, just from everything I've heard, but I understand why you would say Jokic and Chris Paul as well. So I could see it, but I would say it's like LeBron, most likely. Like that motherfucker knows like everything, like basketball wise, it feels like. So shout out him. Which player would you want taking the shot with the game on the line? Curry, no doubt. Shout out Team USA against France in that game, and him being like, yep, give me the shot, and them all being like, yep, we know. KD is definitely my number 2 there. Tyrese Halliburton after the playoffs last year, fuck yeah, do it. Luka, I see it. Shea, I definitely see it. Jalen Brunson, I can see it. Jokic, fuck it, do it. Yep, I'm with you guys on this one. I am aligned. What rule? Ooh, I love these. I love these. These are interesting. Okay, I don't want to know what you guys are putting in for this stuff when we do our GM survey. One, just because you guys can't fucking write. Why is everyone's grammar so shitty nowadays? I don't understand. What rule regarding play, schedule draft, blah, 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 needs to change? Roster construction. Apron rules are too harsh. Oh, boo-hoo. Add a cap discount for own drafted players. I can understand that one. Allow trading partial salaries. Oh, kind of like what they do in like football and stuff. I don't like that one. It's too complicated. Make all minimum contracts the same. Interesting. That is kind of an interesting one. I could see that. Draft schedule. Back one day, only lottery on day 1. After free agency. Okay. So people just want to move back the draft schedule. Fair enough. Game flow. They want it to be faster. Hockey style subs. I'm not going to lie. I've always thought that that's a cool idea. I'd like to see it. Playoff format, seed 1 to 16. I don't know. The travel stuff is kind of weird to me. The draft system, can't draft in the top 6 in 3 straight years. I agree with this. We need to have some sort of system that de-incentivizes like being bad for like a certain amount of time. I don't know exactly what it should be, but there should be something. Higher penalties for cap circumvention. I agree with that one. Schedule, fewer back-to-back. Sure, why not? Season's so long as it is, though. Also receiving votes. The Elam ending. Yep. I can be a fan of that. More G League experimentation. I agree. The G League's just not used well right now. No disqualification on 6th foul, 1 shot, and ball. Interesting. That's an interesting one. I like fouling out. I think it's cool. Okay, let's see. What else do we got here then? Oh, that's it. That's the last one. Okay, that's the GM survey, y'all. I'm curious to hear what you guys think down in the description below. I broke this down into 2 videos last year, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to go a bit faster through it this year. But as always, I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. I'm guessing it won't be tomorrow, but probably the day afterwards. We'll do our own GM survey results or whatever. I'm probably going to try to compile these this weekend because I record this like a little bit earlier. You can see it's the 16th right now. But as always, I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. And let's move on to the comments of the video. Alrighty, y'all. Comment to the video is coming from our grading each NBA team's 2025 offseason video. Always a fun one when we get to do the gradings. The comment to the video comes from CCD8615. Where do y'all come up with these names or whatever? He said, this video splashes some much needed reality cold water on me. I always like when we can have moments like that. I'm a Spurs fan, and there is all this talk about what they will do this season, but I question how realistic those expectations are. First, San Antonio already has the injury bug. Yeah, a little bit. But second, and perhaps more importantly, San Antonio got better, but so did everyone else in the Western Conference that really matters. And that's the thing, right? It's like, yeah, you did get better, but so did everyone else. You got to look outside your bubble, and I think that'll be tough. I think San Antonio will be interesting this year, but are they a top team? I don't know. I agree with you. I think they're kind of going to be a playing team, but beyond that, it's going to be really tough to compete with how many young players you have. I really like that. I think this is a great comment. I like the detail and everything. Very, very good stuff. By the way, fuck Billy. Can't stand that dude. And shout out the French. There you go. That's our comments in the video right there. If you want to have more great basketball conversations, go join the Discord. Links in the description right here. We're talking hoops all the time. And as always, like, subscribe, comment, do all those things. If you respond or if you post a comment, I will respond to it. Every single one. I do it. But anyways, I appreciate you guys. Tell your Nana I said hello, and we'll talk later. Thanks so much, y'all. Bye.